It's Kevin.
When's the Hy-Vee thing, this weekend? Is that what the plans are? What do we do wrong? Oh, film at 11. What do we do wrong? Huh? You and Willie Farrell.
The Moines Park and Recreation Board for August 27th, please come to order. Rebecca, will you please call the roll?
Nolan.
Here.
Gelb.
Present.
Bacto.
Present.
Haney Vanderhaar.
Haney, here.
Davis.
Here.
Cahill.
Here.
Anza.
Here.
Scavo.
Here.
Thornton.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Simonson.
Here.
May we look at the agenda first and foremost? We have some board members that may have to leave a little bit early, so I would like to amend the agenda slightly and move the items for board action up first. Is there a motion for?
So, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll look at the minutes from the previous meeting of July 21st. Are there any additions or corrections? Do we have a motion?
So
for-
moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And before we go any further, I'd like us to take just a moment of silence for our hearts to remember Dan Pasick and his family for the passing of his wife. And I will send a card around that we can send to he and his family. Okay, moving on for board action. We have a public hearing for the naming of the Ashley Oakland Star Playground at Ewing Park. This is a public hearing at 5:04.
We have a little staff presentation as well as visitors from the donating group here, and I think Kevin Moran actually introduced the topic for us.
Do you have the remote or? All right, bye Rebecca, there you go, pulls that in. Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Kevin Moran, Senior Park Planner, here to discuss and give a little bit of background on the Ashley Oakley Star Playground. Last October, the Variety of the Children's Charity came to the department here and talked to us about their idea of promoting and their cause, as well as also honoring one of their members with a playground. The site they chose was Ewing Park, and on the camera here it kind of shows you, can you zoom out a little bit there, Rebecca? I just want to give you a little bit of location of where this is fitting and for the reason for it. This is going to be Ewing Park. McKinley is going to be up at the top of the screen there. There's restroom buildings there. And another key point to this is at the very bottom, you can see that's the soapbox derby. So that's the finish line of the soapbox derby. So that's the location of it. The reason this is appropriate for this area is because we just did a bunch of work out there making this pathway, as you can see, to some accessible locations along the soapbox derby track, as well as a bunch of improvements to the restroom facility itself. And so this area is accessible in that aspect. We do have an old play set there, which is a swings and an old slide, and then an old shelter that does have some, areas that could be upgraded. So we decided that, this does make a great location for this new playground, and it just seems to fit well with what they're looking at and the program for this. This is a picture of what it's going to be. It's obviously a very large and extremely accessible playground. There's going to be port-in-place surfacing. There's going to be transfer stations. There's also all kinds of other different program elements around the park or around this area. And so very nice playground here that's going to be installed with connections to the existing sidewalk and parking, as I mentioned. So we're really excited about this. With us this evening are three of the Variety Children's Charity members. We have Susan Hatton, Brenna Finnery, and Sherry McMichael. And from that, I'll just let Susan come up and speak a few words.
Well, thank you, Kevin, and thanks to all of you for letting us to come and speak tonight. As Kevin mentioned, we approached Parks and Recreation almost a year ago. It seems like time has flown. But on behalf of Variety, the children's charity, we are asking for the naming of this park to be the Ashley Oakland Star Playground. And a part of the reason for that, so it helps to connect the dots, is, as I'm sure many of you are aware, we lost Ashley Oakland in 2011, and she was a very passionate and engaged young professional. She was largely involved in children's charities and organizations, and Variety being one of them. She was one of our board members. So this was a way for us to come together and to honor her in a tribute that we would grant and gift to the city that would be here for years to come. So it's around a $500,000 project, and Variety, again, would be the vehicle for fundraising, and we would be honored if it would be named after her. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak?
Move it.
Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing at 5:08. Is there a motion from the board?
Second.
Rebecca, would you call the roll?
Nolan.
Yes?
Gelb.
Yes.
Bacto.
Yes.
Haney Vanderhaar.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
Jansa.
Yes.
Scavo.
Yes.
Thornton.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation this evening. It's a very exciting project.
The next step, we'll return to city council for final approval, and that should happen here in the near future. We'll work with all of you to make sure you know those dates, and we'll work with the Variety Club. Thank you for the tremendous donation to the Des Moines Park System. We really appreciate what you're doing.
Moving on to item B for the winter recreation activities ordinance.
We have no staff presentation this time, but we're glad to answer any questions or comments you may have thought about between last meeting and this meeting.
Are there any questions? Do we have a motion from the board?
I'll move.
Second.
Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Nolan.
Yes?
Gelb.
Yes.
Bacto.
Yes.
Haney Vanderhaar.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
Jansa.
Yes.
Scavo.
Yes.
Thornton.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Thank you.
No. We've been retired.
Item C, the Woodland Cemetery event. Is there anything else for us to know about that event?
There's nothing new from last time. It's a great event that helps bring a certain amount of new eyes to the cemeteries for a great cause. That's one of our goals, as you know, is to get more notoriety for our cemetery operations, not just for the services they provide, but also what the history is there for.
I was he here to shoot.
Could we possibly have this event again because there's so many flags?
We certainly will talk to the group that's putting on the program that are proposing this, and we'll see if they're willing to do it a second year. If they're not, maybe we'll pull this, look into that. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
Do you have an update that I don't know about? That'd be great.
Marlene, Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Marlene Anderson, Park and Recreation Supervisor. The same question came up at the Cemetery Advisory Committee, and they have over 600 flags at this point, all of those from Quick Trips, Walmarts, and Casey's. And if they don't have enough time to burn those that they have at this point, we might have another one in February of 2014. So be ready for another request.
And remind us of the time and date, please.
It is from 5 to 6 o'clock on September 11, Patriot Day.
At the cemetery.
5 to 6, right? At the receiving vault, where the arch dedication was.
Woodland Cemetery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion from the board?
So moved. Second.
Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Nolan.
Yes?
Gelb.
Yes.
Acto.
Yes.
Haney Vanderhaar.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
Hansa.
Yes.
Scavo.
Yes.
Thornton.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Junglewood.
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Thank you. Just to follow up, because of that date on September 11th, there will be a change of the executive board meeting for this month. We'll move it to the 10th at our usual time at 4:30, but at the Parks office. Any of you, as always, are welcome to come to that event so that you'll be able to attend the cemetery event if you would choose to. Okay, moving on to receiving and file. We have a special presentation.
It's Kevin Moran.
Kevin?
Good evening. Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Kevin Moran, Senior Park Planner. Tonight we have Jessica Rowe with the Greater Des Moines Public Art Foundation to come and speak with you. This is because there's obviously a lot of new members on the board, but it's also, we've been getting a lot of issues on where is public art being placed. Obviously, as the Parks Department and the Park Board, they have jurisdiction and overview of a lot of the park land within the city, which constitutes 3,800 acres. And so wanted to bring Jessica here tonight to kind of go over what they're doing. It's a board that was set up by the city, and then they have certain restrictions and requirements they do, and then there's certain things that happen as people require things or request stuff for public art within on public property. So tonight I think it's just fitting that we'll have Jessica provide that for you guys. With that,
Thank you.
Jessica Rowe.
Thank you.
Jessica, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you, and good afternoon, board and director. Again, my name is Jessica Rowe. I'm the director at the Greater Des Moines Public Art Foundation, and I was asked to come to talk a little bit about the Public Art Foundation and also the new app, which is so new, but we are updating it very soon. So, a very brief history of the Public Art Foundation. It began in 2001 as a public art commission, and by 2004, it was a 501c3 entity. It's administered, the funds are administered through the Community Foundation, and it has a board of 15 individuals who meet monthly. And there is no staff. I am the director, but I work through the foundation also as a consultant. The mission of the Public Art Foundation is a world-class destination for public art. And the purpose, the cause is really to place art in public spaces in the community through public and private collaborations. The Public Art Foundation believes art belongs in the streetscapes, in the parks and buildings and infrastructures of a thriving community, not just in galleries and museums. And I wanted to show you a little bit about, all are very familiar with the public art in Des Moines, but I'm going to sort of whip through very quickly, not talking about any specific piece, but about the variety that is in Des Moines. Public art reshapes the past and also enlivens the present. And if we look at the work that's around this particular one, Barry Flanagan on the screen on the right is in the Papa John Sculpture Park, and obviously the artist took cues from the French master Auguste Rodin, the thinker. There's also a work in Greenwood Park by the artist Mary Miss, and the pavilion that skirts the pond was inspired by the Meskwaki village and from her many trips to Iowa. And also probably the most iconic, or one of the most iconic works in Des Moines is the Oldenburg umbrella. And this was one of the first contemporary works that was placed in Des Moines. And the artist, Claes Oldenburg, was inspired by the book of Robinson Crusoe. In fact, the little image just above this inset of a book shows the artist's first interpretation of the umbrella, which he made out of sticks from the Christmas tree. Just like Robinson Crusoe, when stranded on the island, this was the first object the fictional character made. It was the only object he took from the island, and in a sense it represents culture. So what is public art? As you know, it can be inside, like the Solowit wall drawing, which is at the Papa John Education Center. Also the Viola Fry sculptures, which are inside 801 Grand. And it can be outside. Standing 150 feet up is a work by Harriet Ketchum to honor the Civil War figures. This is the very topmost figure of Victory. I guess it's only 130 feet high, sorry. And also at your feet, and this is a detail of a piece that is at the Science Center of Iowa, along the plaza, obviously an atom, and also seating. So public art is in the public realm. It's situated on public and sometimes private property, and it's acquired through public and private funding, often a combination of both. And this is sort of a list of what it could be: a traditional sculpture, a mural, even a manhole cover, paving patterns, lighting, seating, a building facade, mobile, a bridge, or earthwork. It can be static, it can move, it can be parts of a physical structure, and it can be a projection of light or sound. And often public art is integrated into the architecture in the community, or the landscape, or the infrastructure. I'll show you a few examples of this. A little hard to see, but the inset shows Ashworth Pool. And if you look very closely at the bottom, there's a very low relief of, what is that, a covered wagon pulled by oxen. And this particular work is attributed to Christian Peterson, a very famous artist, one who was one of the first visiting artists at Iowa State University, selected by Grant Wood. And this work is by David Dahlquist. It is in the East Village. It's in one of the buildings that was renovated. And you see there's a thumbprint or fingerprint. And so it's about hand and land and the administrative services that are provided through this agency. So public art can be functional. It can be commemorative, decorative, or interactive. This is an ankeny, but it's a really stunning piece of images on glass, which document the Iowa laboratories. And of course, you know, these laboratories house 5 of the state's laboratories, criminal, agricultural, can't remember them all, but all of these images are across the public windows which face or in the atrium as you come into the facility. And then this has become very, very popular on the bridge, lighting piece. And to come very soon, this is what will now, is Coles Commons, formerly Nolan Plaza. You see the Oldenburg umbrella in the lower portion of the screen. In the upper part, you see the Jim Campbell. It'll be an LED piece, which will somewhat float. It is suspended, as you can see, from those sort of long, I'll call them legs. They're not legs, but, and there'll be a scrim with all these LEDs surrounding it. So art can employ technology, and very much so, and text and sound. This is inside the Brown Davis Tower firm. It is by the artist Stretch, and you may, if you've gone in there, it changes colors. It was repurposed washing machine. Let's see, those covers that you can look into a washing machine. Anyway, they were flawed, and so there's a computer sequence of colored lights. Public art can last a minute, a day, a year, or a lifetime. This is a project that was at the Des Moines Arts Center. And also public art is an instrument of public conversation, which I think is most important. Here's the piece of Joel Shapiro, which is just above Long Look Garden, right outside of this building. It was given by Melva Bucksbaum and her daughter Mary. Public art is as diverse as the people who view it. And I think that's one of the reasons why public art is sometimes controversial. It is, again, it's a public process, and not, as you know, we don't always agree with one another, but it's good to have a conversation. Public art tends to be site-determined, collaborative, integrated, and community-driven. And just a quick view of our past projects. This one inspired by students, which is on High Street. The artist is Barry Lester, and it's a sort of a process of young people in turmoil, and working their way through their problems. This particular one is a little model of a project which was an outgrowth of a memorial to commemorate an individual who loved chess. And we just found by putting funds together, we were able to create something quite remarkable. It's between the Temple of Performing Arts and the library. So it's the Temple Chess and Poetry Garden. This one, the Public Art Foundation worked with Polk County. It's next to Hy-Vee Hall by the artist Anna Gaskell, who's from Des Moines. It's a remarkable piece, and it's sort of in process. It's a video and natural material, which will be someday a maze, and I'm working with some expertise from Iowa State University to help discipline these arborvitae trees, because right now it looks more like a Christmas tree farm than a maze, but it will. It was inspired by the film The Shining, which I haven't seen, but it is, those of you who have will know it has to do with suspense, adventure, process. Anna Gaskell's not interested in the beginning of the story. She's not interested at the end of the story. She's interested in the adventure that happens in between. So this is sort of gives the public an experience by wandering through this maze. The work around the Science Center, you see a drawing by the artist, and obviously it's called The Big Question for obvious reasons. You see an upside down question mark, which is an earthwork, and the dot at the end of the question mark is the atom. It's a great place for students to gather before they go into the Science Center. It was supposed to build a sense of wonder. And embedded in the sidewalk and also in the grounds, there are these questions that really don't have an answer, like, why can't you tickle yourself? And you see here this amphitheater, which forms the question mark, is used when weather permits. So why can't you tickle yourself? Because your brain anticipates your own touch and discounts it. So it functions very well for gathering students together before they go in to this Science Center. The foundation has also helped support a tribute to diplomacy, most recently encouraging creative partnerships, one with the Army Corps of Engineers, working with the Principal River Walk. This just recently was completed, last year. The Five Dongos by June Kaneko, and it was dedicated in November. In this slide, which is not a great slide, sorry, but you're looking south, and you're looking at the pump station, and that will be completed this fall. Often major projects take multiple years. And of course, I think showcasing international art, this has really spurred a lot of urban revitalization with the Papa John Sculpture Park. So in between these massive, large-scale projects, the foundation decided it needed more of a presence in trying to do more temporary projects. We're wrapping, sometimes, utility boxes. This is partnering with Community Project. This was a project which we brought in 2 artists from Miami Beach, Florida, to do a mural on the side of the building at 6th College. They're the words, they worked with the Seafoam Children Family, anyway, it's a children's organization nearby there. The words across the building say, all we need is love. We needed a little bit more because the project didn't happen. So we're still working with artists on another part of 6th Avenue. But also, we partnered with Art Stop, which now has dissolved as an entity, but for 2 years we worked with them to do temporary spaces and working with artists from our area. This is Matthew Coronas, who covered the interior of the Papa John Education Center. It was great being inside of that during the daytime, and at nighttime it was illuminated and really transformed that space. Also, Pete Gaucher created a seating area in a space between corporate Meredith and public area. So that was also quite interesting. And just recently, at the Iowa State Fair, we worked on this particular project with Travis Rice, and it was a 80-plus foot image that stretched across the Cultural Center. And if you were there, which I'm sure everyone was, for the fair, you may have seen this. We hope to do something like this every year, not necessarily at the cultural center, but around the fairgrounds. And so the current projects are, again, completing the June Kaneko piece. And you see here a bird's eye view, and you're looking south, and you'll see the site of the pump station where the glass mural will be. And I just received some photographs. The glass is fabricated. It's stunning. This is what it will look like. Hopefully it'll be delivered for installation in October. Right now, the panel is up, the framing is up, and we're testing the LED lights, which are tiny lights embedded into a grid of squares. Altogether, there are 40,000 LED lights, so we'll be correcting those so when the glass arrives, there'll be no issues. And that, I think the dedication will be in November. But also to be unveiled soon is we are trying to embody sort of a neighborhood commitment and working with 6th Avenue corridor for 3 years to develop master planning that involves artist thinking. And recently, you may know that they last year renovated the 6th Avenue Bridge. Well, across that bridge will be a major work by the artist Alice Aycock. So we have raised a fourth of the funds. I'm trying to raise the other 3/4 as I speak, and as soon as I have a bit more, we'll be making the announcement and showing the design. But also, we're working to create education resources for public art, and using what was initially called STEM, now STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, and working with actual curriculum pre-K through 12th. And this curriculum then is uploaded onto the website and is accessible not only to teachers, but to families who are interested. So it brings me to one of the reasons you asked me here, and that's mostly the app. But I just want to mention the website is so flexible because I can upload information about public art daily. I blog about public art that's happening around the world. And it's a great resource, and this is where the education resources are found. But I think for most people with handheld, with iPhones, the app has been wonderful. And it's accessible free from the App Store. Here's an image of it, and the little icon at the top shows the app. And I thought I'd walk you through 2 examples of how it works. You can go to the icon of the eye and learn about the app in general. The red dots are works on view, the green dots are future or in-process projects, and the purple would be temporary. And then if you scroll down on the app, it'll give you lots of information about the Public Art Foundation. So if you go back to the other icon that's between, there's a street sign, and I've organized the art by area. You can look at Greater Des Moines and see everything in Greater Des Moines, or you can go, for example, click on American Enterprise Park and see what is in the park. And you can click on one of the little dots and see this is an untitled sculptural mural. You tap on that and you'll see that the mural is the Ivan Chermayeff. It tells you a little bit about the artist, and it also can take you to the artist's website. Another aspect, if you go back and tap on Principal Riverwalk, you'll see with these, there's some green dots and red dots for works that are along the Riverwalk. If you don't know, or if you're looking for an artist, you can type in the artist's name and do a search. So we're going to take a look at the 5 Dongos by June Kaneko. And here you'll look at it, see a picture of them, basic information, artist, dimensions, but also about the artist again, or about the artwork here, then about the artist. If there are videos available, I upload the videos. I've done that a lot for almost all the works in the sculpture park and many of the others around. And then if the artist has a website, you can also connect directly to the artist's website. So it's a great resource. It locates where you are by a small little green dots, and then use GPS technology to move you through the city of Des Moines and the environment to look for art. I don't have everything. I'm currently working to upgrade the app, and I'm also looking at the costs and to make it an Android, so it'd be, again, accessible, so this is in process. In the meantime, I've been able to document about 125 public art pieces within Greater Des Moines. So most of those are within the urban core. And a lot of these, we walk by, we have no idea where they are, what they are about. So this really gives us a handle. I went through several focus groups working with teachers and young professionals to come up with the idea of how to reach more people. So that's sort of the summary of art. I know you have questions for me, and I'd be welcome to try to answer them.
I just want to thank you. This app, I'm an art teacher, and this is really invaluable to me with students, and I teach kindergarten through 5th grade, to show them the rich art that we have in Des Moines that they can just walk by and see. And so this is just outstanding.
It's a lot of fun, I have to say.
Thank you. This is just, I'm so proud to be part of such a cultural place. So that's, yep, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we have a project that we want to work with you on and propose that public art should be in there, is there a way to do that officially, or just pick up the phone and call and have a discussion?
Absolutely.
We got a couple ideas we'll share with you later.
On the website, there's a policy manual. It's under, I think, About, under Publications. Also, all the annual reports are published and uploaded there. But the policy manual was adopted last year, and it provides sort of a system of procedures for public art, and it's a great template. But there's a lot of information there, but you can contact me directly.
Marion?
I just can't sit here and be quiet. I have to echo what Susan said. A huge thank you to you. Obviously, you have spent a lot of time and a lot of effort of your own, very own time in order to do this out of your love and commitment to this. But what it brings to our city is huge, and just continues to build on that, how to make a city great. And this is a huge piece of that. So thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot to be proud of, I think, at Des Moines. And people constantly say something about that. And when I travel and I always am talking about the site, the app, and people are very surprised that there's so much here. Yeah. But I think there are a lot, this is a community that's been here for a long time. And there are a lot of creative manifestations that are around us. And they're sometimes so integrated we don't know about it. So it's fun to look.
Well, it just takes special people, number one, to make sure it happens in the first place, and then to make it so much more public with something like the app, where what great information for people. It's so easily accessible. I mean, it's just snowballs, that whole thing. Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're teaching us how to see, and that's so important. It's just wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Anything else for Jessica? Great.
Thank you. Thank you. There you go. Thank you very much.
Moving on to item E, the GRASP program, we have a report from staff.
Yeah, we have a little small presentation as well as your narrative report from us and our recommendation, but John Hagener will walk us through that.
Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, John Hagener, Park and Recreation Superintendent. Thanks for the opportunity to just share with you briefly about our GRASP program. What we want to do is really three things tonight. Just highlight some of the items that are in your communication. Two is give you some participation numbers. And then finally, really, as I mentioned, highlight what our recommendations in terms of changes are to the GRASP program.
It was mentioned earlier, there's some new park board members and perhaps new folks at home. So just very quickly, the idea of the GRASS program is it's intended to allow people to participate in programs that otherwise would not be able to participate at a reduced fee. That's essentially what the program is. And you can see Greater Des Moines Recreational Activity Scholarship Program is, of course, the acronym. As far as cards issued, you can see the numbers are there. In 2013, you can see we had an upward trend in terms of cards issued. Now, what does this mean? Again, a quick review. For those folks that want to participate in the GRASS program, that they would go to a location, they apply, they currently self-declare. We'll talk about that potential change here shortly in a minute. And then they're issued a card. So those are the cards issued, is what we mean by that. So you can see we have an upward trend in terms of GRASS cards issued. Now this is a pretty busy slide, I realize that, so we'll just take a few seconds, but these are the cards that are utilized. So once they have a GRASS card, then they're going to take it to a location where they can register perhaps for these programs. Overall, you can see as far as utilization, we were down slightly, about 156 less cards utilized this year. If you take a look individually at each one, you can see swim lessons is pretty steady. Season swim passes down a bit. Community center programs up a bit. The other significant, maybe bigger differentiation, if you will, is the shelter rentals. We believe some possible reasons in this about 156 or so less. First of all, the weather. You can see the season passes, quite frankly, unlike this week, let's face it, we had a pretty mild summer, and in the early stages of the summer, it was pretty mild, if not cool. So that certainly helps people get excited about swim season passes. So weather could contribute to that factor. The other factor, we eliminated the ability for folks to actually receive their GRASS card at the pools. The reason we did that, after lots of discussions with various folks, we had more highly trained folks that worked year-round at different locations rather than our seasonal staff at the pools. These folks work with folks in financial need more often. They're just better trained to work with them. So rather than go to the swimming pools, you couldn't go there anymore. To get your card, you could certainly use it there. So that would be another reason. And quite frankly, we still don't have the numbers of what our season passes are for non-GRASS season passes. Quite frankly, those numbers may be down. We don't know yet. We won't have those numbers. We close teach out after Labor Day weekend. So those are some potential reasons why it may be down. Also, you'll note that shelters were down. The change this year from last year is we no longer allow enclosed shelters to be redeemed for those. We still allow open air, but not enclosed shelters. So perhaps some reasons why it's down a bit. But we're still pretty proud of 1,500 folks that were able to take advantage of that. So,
how about the community center passes? I mean, that's more than just a little increase.
Yeah,
Is that a staff focus?
Good comment, Marion. I asked them to look at that, and there was a lot more taekwondo registrations. That's one that was there. We have Pee-wee registrations that Pee-wee basketball and Pee-wee sports that take place there as well. That's some of the upward trend in community centers. Great, yeah, good observation. As far as the proposed changes, really there's 3 proposed changes. And that's, first of all, GRASS participants must verify their income. Now, again, right now, it's self-declare. You may recall back in 2009, the intent of this was, it was when the economy really, really went south, lots of people had lost jobs, et cetera. So we really wanted to make it extremely easy for them to do that. We basically asked them to self-declare. We're asking them now to verify their income is change number 1. Number 2, at the community action site office only. Once again, these are the folks that are trained. Some of you are aware of the Energy Assistance Program. That agency works with these people all year round, and they do a terrific job doing that. So they have the resources and the ability and the background to really verify this income. So we're going to ask them to verify the income. It's at the community action office. And then the third change is we're going to change the guidelines from 225% to 250%. Essentially, we're broadening the net. It's a bigger net. You can see the example, let's say a household size of 4. You can see in 2013, if they were making $52,000, in 2014, that's $58,875. It's just a broader net. Still have to verify income, but it's a broader net. Perhaps more people can take advantage of it. So those are the proposed changes. Again, we're just, I don't know the exact number, but we're extremely proud of this, this program. In light of the number I'm not aware of is, I'm not sure how many families are on free and reduced lunch in Des Moines this year. I have understood it was 60% or thereabouts previously. So to have that population and to be able to serve these folks, we're just proud we can still deliver this program. We just believe everybody deserves a chance to live well, play hard, and protect the earth. So with that, questions on the GRASS program or the proposed changes and the communication you have?
I have a question, and John, I want to thank you because I know that you were on the ground level floor of coming up with this program, and I think this program is probably one of the greatest programs that we've had to help our community that has suppressed income. The lifeguard lessons, I'm really surprised because wouldn't that lead to a summer job for some of those kids that would take advantage of that? So I guess I'm pretty much surprised that hasn't been utilized more. Do you have any things on that? Well, we're talking one person over 3 years. So.
Yeah. And George, if it's a great observation, great comment. For those individuals that expressed an interest or desire in terms of getting in the lifeguard program, we would absolutely go out of our way to accommodate them. As you guys have heard us talk over the years, lifeguards are an incredible resource to us. Mm-hmm. So if they needed financial assistance, we'd find a way, quite frankly, internally to make that happen, whether it's through the GRASS program or not. It's a good observation. The other point, as you're well aware, some of you are connected with the Des Moines School District, we collaborated with them and are teaching lifeguarding as part of the curriculum at the 2 of the high schools. So it's a great feeder program once they pass that program. Is it automatic or a slam dunk? No, not necessarily, but all but come our way, be a lifeguard for us. But good observation, George.
And then I also had another. You're proposing that they certify their incomes at the, is that one site that they're going to certify their income?
That's correct. They'll go right to the Community Action Agency office. And again, remember the change we had last year is October 1st is when the LAHEAP or the Energy Assistant Program begins. So essentially, those are the folks that are in perhaps financial need. So we want to capture those folks certainly when they come in to get energy assistance. And yes, they will be verifying their income at the Community Action Site office.
So the big difference this year between this year and last, it was self-verification last year, and this year you have to have, what would to verify, what would a person need?
Great. Let's see, I'm not sure if it was in the communication, but I can tell you 90 days of declare what you made, what your income was last 90 days. Usually it's a piece of mail. They ask for a piece of mail or a utility bill, just to name a few. George, I can get you that information. I don't.
No, I'm just curious because the self-declaring could be going down a road that it's just going to become more costly. So I think there has to be some verification, but I didn't want the verification to be too difficult because a lot of times people that have impoverished programs and stuff, they don't know the format or the highway to get to the end result, and that's the thing I don't want to get clouded to the people that really need this service.
In speaking with Marcy Rafdahl, who will administer this program through that Community Action Agency, we talked about those questions, and if they don't have quite frankly, they may not have a 90-day paycheck stub. They're going to try to get, well, tell me about what you've had. Maybe they're going to go, maybe they won't have tax forms even the past years. So that's where they're skilled and trained in trying to get some information so that they can at least verify this. And I think Ben used the word, just verify and be transparent about what their income truly is. But they certainly want to make it as easy as possible.
Well, I salute the staff on this because I think this is a way that they have really reached out to the community, and I think that this is also one of our jewels. And so I think you've done a great job on this as well as the other staff.
Thanks, George.
Any other questions for John? Thank you, John. Great report.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll return to the director's report.
All right, back to the top. Now we'll do our Did You Know on Ewing Park, and we have Julie Hempel up on Ewing Park.
Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Julie Hempel, Horticulture Inspector. Tonight I'm going to be taking you on a walk through Ewing Park. The Ewing farm spanned from Emmett Avenue on the north to Porter Avenue on the south, on both sides of Indianola Road on the south side of Des Moines. This is kind of jumping ahead of me. In 1937, the park board worked with daughter Winnie Ewing Coffin to donate the entire 357 acres of land to the city as dedicated park space. The plaque on the right says, "This park was given to the city of Des Moines, Iowa, in loving memory of David Rittenhouse Ewing and his wife, Lucinda Ewing, and by their daughter, Winnie Ewing Coffin." The plaque on the left states, "Welcome. The home farm of David Rittenhouse Ewing, Lucinda Ewing, Winnie Ewing Coffin, Nathan Emery Coffin, now dedicated to public pleasure and recreation." There are many great amenities at Ewing Park. To mention a few, nature trails, a pond, 2 playgrounds, open-air shelters, grills, and picnic tables, canoeing, and it's also part of the urban deer hunt. There are also many unique agreements in Ewing Park. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Soapbox Derby. The track is located south of McKinley Road and to the west of Indianola Road. You can see Harry Piper Parkway on the right of the screen there. If you're not sure what Soapbox Derby is, it's a youth racing program for both boys and girls ages 7 to 21, and it's been run nationally since 1934. Soapbox cars use standardized wheels with precision ball bearings that are gravity powered. Racers start at the ramp at the top of a hill, and they can attain speeds up to 35 miles an hour. There's 3 different divisions in Soapbox. There's stock division, super stock, and master stock division. Each race of the heat lasts less than 30 seconds. So here's pictures of the park at Ewing. The Greater Des Moines Soapbox Derby Association was formed and worked with the city to create a plan of the hill on Ewing Park. Local architect James Paxton drew up the plan, and with help from a lot of companies, the track was built and opened in 1970. At the time, Des Moines was only the 12th city in the world to have their own permanent track. The Greater Des Moines Soapbox Derby Association is in a long-term lease with the city for exclusive use of the track for club use only, and they will promote and maintain the track through this lease agreement. In 2011, the National Soapbox Derby Championship was held here. The next agreement with the city is the BMX track. The BMX track is located just to the north of the Soapbox Derby, right there off McKinley Avenue. And it's just to the south of McKinley and to the west of Indianola Road. In 2001, Kitty Westenauer helped organize the local riders to work with the city of Des Moines to build the BMX track at Ewing Park. The track is now operated as a public-private partnership between the city and the BMX riders. Like the Soapbox Derby, it's exclusive use land, exclusive use lease for the club. The Ewing Park Club has 35 regular members ranging in age from 5 to 61. Kitty Weston Nauer is very active, still in the group, and the partnership still continues to flourish, allowing the city to offer services that it otherwise would not be able to afford. So the next partnership agreement is the Disc Golf Club. The Des Moines Disc Golf Club, established in 2001 that, boy, this thing.
Ghost of the Ewing family.
Yes, yes. In 2001, they established the park at Ewing, and it's said to be the crown jewel of all disc golf courses in Des Moines. The map is shown. It's kind of hard to see. It's rather large, as you can see, but it's an 18-hole golf course. The front nine runs through the Children's Forest, which features rolling landscape with a range of fairways through mature trees and tight wooded corridors. The back nine plays through the scenic lilac arboretum with rolling hills, defined fairways, a unique collection of trees, and an outstanding view of the downtown skyline. Just like a golf course, disc golf courses also have different lengths and holes from long to short, or from like a man's tee to a woman's tee. In 2005, the World Cup was held at Ewing. And as quoted from the Des Moines Disc Golf website, Ewing Park is one of the most beautiful yet challenging courses that most disc golfers will ever encounter. So that's quite a statement. Has anyone played disc golf? Come see me at the bridge, and there's several of you. I've been manning that disc golf hole for the last 2 years at the bridge event, so come see me next year and I'll teach you how to play. Next is the dog park. It was opened 2011, just west of Indianola Road and north now of McKinley Road. It's a 9.5 acre fenced park. There's 1 acre of a small dog area that's completely fenced in. Small dog, we think of 20 pounds or less, and the 8.5 acre is for all dogs. There's sloped terrain with mature trees and a mix of tall and short grass. There's also a shaded open air shelter with a restroom and a water fountain for people and animals. The dog park is open year round, and in 2013 we've sold 1,742 dog passes, and at $20 each, that equals to $34,840 that the city has collected in fees. I'll let that one sink in for a second. The dog park has also a great core of dog park ambassadors who volunteer checking for supplies, for holes in the fences, and if the park users have their permit. It's a very successful volunteer program for us. I'd also like to do a little side note. As I was rehearsing my presentation, I kept seeing my white dog, who was featured up in the picture, pacing around in front of me, and then she sat down, cocked her head, and so I went to the next slide, or next page, and I realized I just said dog park 5 times, and she realized she was going on a trip with me, and she was very disappointed when I walked out the door. So. Next is the Lilac Arboretum. 2 years after the land donation in 1939, the park board authorized the reservation of part of the land of the south section west of Indianola Road to be a future lilac arboretum. The area is almost 30 acres in size, and the collection began in 1940 when 350 plants, 116 varieties, were purchased and planted in our nursery. The planting in the collection began 3 years later in 1943. In 1949, the design was completed for the Lilac Arboretum by world-renowned John Wister. Above is the picture of the original design. And it's very detailed, as you can see. In the past 2 years, park staff has been doing a lot of restoration work out in the Lilac Arboretum, consisting of mulching, pruning, removing the dead plants and adding new ones, planting flowering daffodils and other bulbs, and also doing a lot of weeding. As you can see, there are a lot of different colors of lilacs in the 30-acre arboretum. White, purple, violet, pink, magenta, and blue. There are also a collection of crab trees, magnolias, serviceberries, dogwood, and redbuds to increase the bloom time in the arboretum. Typically, the lilacs will bloom in Iowa from May 1st to May 15th. Weather permitting, the last 2 out of 3 years, we've had a very successful lilac festival where we encourage the public to come and see the beautiful arboretum. We hope to see you out there next May because it's quite a sight. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the Children's Forest. The concept of the Children's Forest began in 1950 by the Ding Darling chapter of the Isaac Walton League of America. It's located on the north side of the Lilac Arboretum, and it's 33 acres in size. The first planting took place in 1952, where 700 young saplings were planted, which included black walnut, basswood, sugar maple, ash, wild cherry, and several different species of oaks. 92 different species of trees, which were all native to the state, were planted in that year. Later, some exotic trees were planted, which included crabapples, tulip trees, ginkgos, yellowwood, and several different types of conifers. Starting in 1958, a tree had been planted on Arbor Day in the Children's Forest in dedication of a person. In 1961, Ding Darling was the recipient of that dedication, where he was honored with a native sycamore, and his daughter was in attendance at the dedication. Since the beginning, practically every organized group of children and youth have been represented during these Arbor Day plantings, including the Boy and Girl Scouts, 4-H, Salvation Army, nature clubs, hiker clubs, and school groups. Unfortunately, this was actually the first time that I heard about this program, and I'm not really sure when it stopped or when it went away, but I'm hoping to revive it for future Arbor Day planting because it seems like an excellent spot. Upcoming projects at Ewing include the watershed improvement projects with the 2 branches of Yater Creek that are being worked on to improve the watershed and the water quality. The expansion of Indianola Road continues. And with this expansion, it's going to create a new trail. We have fall planting of lilacs and other flowering trees throughout the Lilac Arboretum. And as we just heard, the Ashley Oakland Star Playground. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and I hope you take a trip to Ewing Park to appreciate all the unique aspects of the park. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Julie. Great
All right.
report.
Good night.
Great visuals.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have Ron come up and talk about the Grays Lake Shoreline and Riverbank Restoration Project that was originally going to happen earlier on in the summer, but due to the local visitors we had with the Eagles, we postponed the project to make sure we were sensitive to the habitat, and now we're ready to go. He'll tell you more about it.
Chair Nolan and members of the Park and Recreation Board, Ron Ward, Park Manager. As Ben said, we were planning on doing this work earlier in the summer, but it got delayed because of the eagle nest. And so now the eagles have grown, and we got a letter from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that says everything's good to go. We're all right to start working. We've scheduled the boulders that we're going to use are going to start showing up on next week on the 3rd, and we're going to rope off a little area of the northwest parking lot, and that's where the boulders will be delivered. Then once the triathlon will be all done and they'll get all cleaned out of there, we're going to start working on the 9th. We're going to start working on we kind of switched the program around a little bit. We're going to do the riverside first and the trail because the contractor that's going to do the sheet piling wasn't able to get there then. So it almost works out better, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. So we're going to do that riverside first. It should take us about 2 weeks. While we're doing that, the trail, of course, will be closed, and the road will be closed during the day, but it'll be open in the evening and weekends. Then on approximately the 18th, the contractor will be here to do the sheet piling on the lake shore. and that should only take 2 or 3 days. As soon as they're done, then we'll move in with our heavy equipment crew and start hauling in the clay to backfill behind that sheet piling wall, get that all done and get the boulders in place, and that should take us about a month to get all that work done. While we're doing that, of course, then the trail will be open, so it won't bother people using the trail, but then the road again will be closed during the day while we're working, but it'll be open on evenings and weekends. One of the reasons that it kind of works out better is the Des Moines Marathon is October 20th, and this way the trail will be done first, so that we won't be running up against that deadline and worrying about that, because of course all this work is weather related. And one thing we were going to have to lower the lake as soon as the triathlon got done, but we don't need to do that now. It's already at a low level. So, do you have any questions? All right. Thanks,
Ron.
All right, Larry Idris has our next two. We have some great fall work happening here. As you just heard from Ron, we're going to continue that with some tree planting. He'll talk about those details and some much-needed tennis court resurfacing projects.
Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Larry Idris, Park Planner 2. This year's tree planting will consist of a total of 515 trees planted in 26 locations, including all of the golf courses, cemeteries, county soccer, baseball, and also the softball complex and several parks. It includes a total of 34 different varieties, most of which are native to Iowa. The few that aren't, such as ginkgo, are hardy for this zone. Throughout the process, we've worked with the municipal arborist to pick varieties and also put together specifications to ensure that the trees survive and whatnot. The contract for planting was awarded last night at the council meeting. Awarded to Frontline Lawn and Landscapes. Cost is about $210 a tree, or a total of $116,000. Planning will start mid-September and be completed by the end of the year. Are there any questions? Yes.
That 210 per tree, does that include the acquisition, or is that just the planting cost?
That's planting. It includes a 2-year warranty.
Okay.
Okay. The second item is the tennis court resurfacing. This project includes resurfacing 8 tennis courts at Drake, Greenwood, McRae, Sheridan, and Tower Parks, along with 2 to-crowd courts at Evergreen Park. It'll include replacing the tennis poles and nets, patching the cracks with the Armor crack repair system we've used in the past, and resurfacing the court with a new color. It'll be the same color, blue court with green outfield that we've done. Contract should be awarded at the next city council meeting. Work is going to start mid-September and be done by the end of the year. Cost is about $18,000 a court. Any questions?
Just want to connect a couple of dots. We've had a few different neighborhood associations stop in here to talk about they wanted to work on upgrading their parks. So Tower is one of those. That's one of the tennis courts on the list. Sheridan Park also came to us recently and asked about a few improvements. We did a little concept plan with them. Greenwood, last night at the city council, they did approve the donor agreement with the Mule Hops for the naming of the J. Spence shelter. And right next door to that is a tennis court that wasn't in the best shape. We wanted to make sure it was looking great when we opened up that facility too. So there's a lot of science behind which ones we chose, as well as the fact of the need.
And how long when they resurface like a court, and Larry, you said they patch their cracks and stuff, how long does it tentatively last on one court.
Absolutely. It's all kind of weather dependent too.
Okay.
But we've tried this new material called armor crack sealing that's been really successful for us. Over at Woodland Tennis Court Complex, we did that about 4 years ago, Larry.
Right.
And it still looks like it's fairly new. So this new way of doing it's holding up so far. We're kind of watching it. But typically, I let Larry answer that question. I think we're getting anywhere from 4 to 8 years, depending on how.
The crack repair system is warranted for 10 years, and surfacing is good for probably 5 to 6. The color surfacing.
Can you remind them how many tennis courts we have, Larry?
57.
Did you guys know we had 57 tennis courts?
57 tennis courts that are Des Moines Park and Recreation?
Right. Any other questions?
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Our last item on our agenda is, I'll have Jen talk about some upcoming dedications.
57 tennis courts.
Chair Galloway, or excuse me, Nolan, I'm so sorry. I was looking right at you when I said that. I wrote it down so I wouldn't mess it up.
We knew there would be one person on our staff to do that, so.
So I'll go ahead, I'll take it. Chair Noland, with all due respect, and members of the Park and Recreation Board, just wanted to give you a quick overview of the busy month we have ahead of us between now and your next meeting. Tomorrow is our dog park dedication at Reno Memorial. Just wanted to give you a quick reminder. It's named after long-serving K-9 Reno who died last fall. And so we're inviting citizens to come out and try the dog park for free between 5 and 8. They want to check it out, see how it works. All we're asking is that they have a current vaccination, rabies vaccination tag on them. We'll have an animal control officer out there checking on that.
And you should have maps at your place if you have any questions about where it actually is. I know you all said you had the address, but you didn't know where it was, so hopefully this will be helpful.
It's literally just on the block from Sergeant Park. It'll be on the opposite side of the street, so.
Which side do you go in?
It's on the Douglas side, not the Hubble side.
East Douglas is about a block north of Euclid. And if you park on the north side, there's a parking lot in Sergeant Park that will allow for parking.
Correct. We'll try to make it a little bit shorter than our normal process because of the heat, but we're ready for that tonight. We'd love to have all of you out there. We have a couple elected leaders already RSVP'd, so we'd love to have you there.
And several members of the police department with their K-9 units as well. So we're trying to make it as special as possible. So. Okay, you may have heard the Hy-Vee Triathlon is going to be around this weekend. The festivities start Friday night with a free concert right out here at Simon Estes. It starts at 7 p.m. The Iron Kids will be held Saturday, August 1st, starting at 8 a.m. And the amateurs and the elites go off bright and early Sunday at 6:40 with the national anthem. So.
Just a quick comment. This morning we met with Hy-Vee on a variety of things, and this morning at 9 a.m., they expected it for the youth on Saturday, about 900 participants. They're up to 1,500, representing 41 states.
Oh my goodness.
That's pretty impressive for the economic impact of that.
This is our second year of the National Bike and Pedestrian Count, and once again, we're looking for volunteers to conduct surveys and counts on the dates shown on the screen. This year, we're incenting volunteers. If they sign up for 2 shifts, they get a free registration to the 2014 Mayor's Annual Ride, and if they sign up for 1 shift, they will get a free bike rental at Grays Lake. So if you're interested, please email us at parksvolunteer@dmgov.org or visit the website for more information. Okay, this year we're calling it Wine and Roses versus the Grandparents' Day event at the Claire Miles Mills Rose Garden. We've got Somerset Winery partnering with us, who will have samples as well as other items for sale, including wine, bottle openers, stoppers, and glasses. We'll have Steve Charlson, who will provide live music, and that is a duo of saxophone and string bass. And if you have any questions about the Rose Garden, I've given you each a copy of our new brochure, and that gives you a little bit more about the facility, which houses 28 beds and more than 200 varieties of flowers. Alrighty, our next event coming up after that is the Easy Launch Dedication Ceremony, which I know we've given you a save the date on, but this is the official dedication. We're very excited. This was funded by the Friends of Des Moines Parks. It was installed earlier this year, and we're going to dedicate it on the 18th. Last but certainly not least, speaking of Sergeant Park, we're going to have a celebration of the natural playscape. This is the first one that we've had in our park facility or park system. Includes a limestone climbing wall, a cave, a tunnel, water spray feature shown here, the hollow tree wood bridge, and a net bridge. And we're really excited about the playscape because it encourages kids to get back into nature. Given they can touch and feel and be out in a different kind of play area. So, any questions? I know I kind of went through that really quick.
This is wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I had somebody else design it, but it was my idea. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
And if that wasn't enough for you to do, in your package, you did have an announcement about the tree doctors are in, and they'll be at Plymouth on Wednesday night after the Reno Park dedication, so you can have 2 events if you'd like. Anything else for Ben? Are there any other announcements or anything for the good of the cause?
If you have a chance, get out and walk Hy-Vee Triathlon just to have experience, so that way next year you can have a better discussion about what you think is best for the use of the park.
Jody, you want to tell us what you're up to next?
Is this a free
Well, just
advertisement?
Sure.
Yeah. Des Moines Neighbors has a forum at North High School for the Des Moines School Board election, September 10th. You'll get a chance to hear 9 candidates, good candidates, and me. And I'd encourage you all to vote in the school board election. This will be the first time we vote as in districts for the North and South District, if you live in the North or South, or at large for 2 seats. And there you get a chance to vote for one of your Parks Board members. Thank you.
Is there anything else? Thank you all for being here this evening, and is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
What?